Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I'm really happy about today's guest, Robert. He's an attorney, he's an actor, he is a VO artist. We'll find out what that is, and he's also a producer. And I love creative, right and left brain, and bringing guests onto the show that have that gift and talent. So it's going to be a great conversation. So, Robert, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, kind of set the stage, talk about your background, how you got started, the work you do, and we'll dive right in.
Yeah, definitely. So as you mentioned very eloquently, I'm an attorney. That's where I started. Um, I became an attorney, went to law school right out of college, started practicing law. Well, some of the first clients, I've always been interested in arts, and sports. Some of the first clients I had were musicians. So that's how I started learning about the entertainment business. And about 10 years after I was practicing, I saw an opportunity to take a class on voiceovers in an adult ed bulletin. So I signed up for the class. And like you, I didn't know what voiceovers were, like you mentioned. I thought it was just cartoon voices kind of thing. So I thought it would just be an interesting class to take to learn about it. Maybe incorporate it into the practice of law. But I ended up loving it. So I realized that voiceovers, is in all media. It's in commercials, it's in movies, it's in cartoons, it's in podcasts, it's in e-learning. It's all over the place. So I took some more classes and started pursuing some voiceover work. And one of the first jobs that I got, well, the first job I got was for a PBS documentary series called The American Experience. So
Uh-huh.
I dubbed a couple of foreign language voices into English. So that's how my entertainment career as an actor started out. Um, from there, I took some on-camera classes and started doing on-camera work. Then I started producing. So I produced films and TV shows and short films, and now I combine all those things. I do
Yeah.
I do a combination of all of them. I represent filmmakers and other entertainers, and I act, I do voiceovers, and I practice law on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I have a question is, it's kind of, law, and then how do you balance those careers? You're either one or the other, right? Or just how do you do it all?
Well, one at a time. But I mean, it actually they all fit together, and I've learned that.
Yeah.
From practicing law, that's where I started learning the business side of entertainment. So I
Yeah.
learned the business side of music, I learned the business side of film,
Yeah.
and then I saw what it took to be an actor. I didn't realize how hard it was to be an actor until I started doing it. But it's something that I stuck with because I really love it. It uses both sides of the brain, like you said earlier, right and left brain. Like you're completely right brain when you're doing acting,
Yeah.
But even as a lawyer, you got to be creative. I mean, I do a lot of litigation, so I speak to juries and judges all the time. So you need communication skills that you
Yeah.
learn from acting, from and it helps you in the courtroom. So they all do relate. It doesn't seem like it, but when you really get down to the core of it, they all relate. One relates to the other.
Yeah. I had a couple colleagues in undergrad. They went into entertainment law, and became like sports agents, and like agents for actors, and which is quite interesting. One thing I actually have a question, because most of my discussions involve AI, because it's inserting itself into the discussion and the picture more often. So, especially with this Hollywood actors strike, and so kind of talk about how has the rise of AI, especially in voiceover technology, especially impacted legal practices in entertainment law. We'll get into more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so AI is the reality now. Artificial intelligence, cloning voices, cloning people, on screen. A full image.
Yeah.
It's reality. So that's one of the reasons why the actors had a strike, because and part of the agreement now is producers are allowed to take pictures of you and use your likeness without you being there, in a future broadcast or a future production. And
Yeah.
but that was one of the things about the strike was how people were going to get compensated for that. And producers didn't, they didn't want to compensate. They only wanted to pay the actors one time to get their picture taken, their likenesses, and use it in future productions. But they compromised, and now they're paying the actors for each time they use if they do use their likeness, like in background or something like that, or even as a principal, they're going to pay them. They're going to be compensated. So that's what the strike was all about. It was about actors don't want to have their likeness be used by AI and not get paid anymore, not have a living.
Yeah.
So, and voice actors too, it's the same concern that they have. And in fact, I represented was one of the first cases concerning that. I represented Beverly Standing. She's a voice actress. She was the original voice, text to speech voice of TikTok.
Yeah.
Files were being used without her permission. She had done a job like back in 2018 that was supposed to be for translation, and those files got into TikTok's hands, and they used those to do the text to speech. And she had not given permission for that, so we sued TikTok. And she ended up settling the case because here, as a voice actor, is that your files are going to end up in the wrong hands, and that your voice is going to be used for things that you don't want it to be used for. So
Yeah.
that's the issue. The gamers just are contracts up for renewal too, and they're going to be raising this issue for their contracts, just like film and TV just did for.
Yeah, it's so interesting with generative AI and especially deep fakes now and misinformation, disinformation. I think there was kind of like Sam Altman. There was this big fiasco at OpenAI. They tried to kick him out. This whole thing and all around this AI safety. What's interesting is I think that when the day comes when there is a AI actor that becomes more famous than like a Brad Pitt or kind of a big major celebrity. And I was recently reading an article where people were saying start to have intellectual property rights for their faces and for their voices, and kind of just like how actors have insurance, because it's like if something happens to their voice or their ability, they have to make a living. So
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's really interesting how AI is actually playing out, and it's really going to create a lot of disruption, change a lot of industries, much like the internet did. And it's like I got into ChatGPT back in January, and that's when it was little baby. Now it's like a formidable force. Like people are saying,
Yes.
oh, we have to ban it, we have to regulate it,
Well, those things are going on right now as we speak, in Congress. So all the laws are being written to, I mean, like deep fakes as far as scams goes. That's a big issue. Like
Yeah.
where you could get a phone call that looks like it's coming from your loved one, and it's their voice saying, I'm in jail, send money.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Those scams are going on every day, and that's generating the voice. So
Yeah.
that's something that Congress is trying to prevent. And like you said, there could be an AI star done by generative AI where it's an unrecognizable person, for real life, but it's a recognizable AI fake person, and they could become famous. And,
Yeah.
it's another issue. It's kind of crazy, but it's stuff that is starting to happen now. So.
And then, kind of we're gonna high level is like you did voiceover projects and you have legal insights in entertainment. And so kind of talk about your experience directing voiceover sessions and then how it differs from your other voiceover projects.
Yeah, so actually, speaking of AI, I was the original director for the Bixby voice, which is on the Samsung phones and products. So I was involved. That was years ago. That was early AI. When it was a voice and a computer, and when the computer put the voice together. Like kind of like on the Magellan, the maps. Like it was all choppy and stuff. That was the original AI, and I was involved with doing those sessions. And those took months to do. Versus now where you only need like 6 seconds of a sample of voice, and you can create a clone voice. So it's that's how far it's come, and that was about 8 years ago. So it's not really a long time, and the technology has come miles and miles since then. So that is obviously is much different than what I do on a day-to-day basis when I'm either recording a voiceover or practicing law. Although I do use AI in the practice of law too now, because you can use it to go through many documents to try to find key terms. Where before you would have to hire 100 interns to go through boxes and boxes of documents to try to find key terms. Now you can just do it with AI, put them in, boom. I need the term AI. I need artificial intelligence. Every time it's used, pull it out. It can be done by computer now instead of having to use so many man hours like before to go through
Yeah.
documents one by one. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a good use. There are good uses and there are bad usages. So, I try to look at the good in it versus the bad.
Do you think like the legal profession will ever like, because they're like, for example, ChatGPT can pass all the USMLEs, like I think for like surgical procedures or like things that are like do you need like human judgment. AI is not there yet, but what about in the legal profession, like because like paralegals, assistants, you can do it with software now, so how's that
Right.
change?
Yeah. I mean, you can use ChatGPT, although it's not perfect. You can use ChatGPT to draft complaints and draft briefs, but it's not perfect
Yeah.
because sometimes the citations are wrong. So, in fact, I heard of a case where an attorney was sanctioned. He was punished for putting a brief in to court, the appellate court, and it had a wrong citation in it,
Mm.
and the attorney didn't check it, and he was using that citation as authority, for his case
Uh-huh.
to advance his case, to win his case, and the judge censured him, and he got reprimanded because he said, if you're going to use AI or if you're going to use anything, even if you hire someone to write a brief for you, a law clerk or something, you as the attorney have to make sure that all the authorities are correct and it's accurate in there before you put it in front of the court. So
Yeah.
you can use AI to draft briefs or to draft complaints, but you still need the human side of it. You still have to double check to make sure that it's proper and it's done properly. And I'm sure that you can create an AI attorney to go and argue all your own law in front of a judge. I'm sure that's not too hard to have
Yeah.
it look up cases and argue it. But what fun is that? You want to have a person, I think, still that it's going to be at least making the arguments. Maybe the AI could generate it for you, and you can put it on a piece of paper or on a computer screen, and but you still want a person to deliver it to the court. I don't think a jury is gonna. I mean, they're bored enough now. I don't think they're gonna want to listen to a computer,
Yeah.
argue a case in the future to them. So
Yeah.
I think human lawyers are still safe for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and then plus you have all these like rules and regulation. You have the bar, you have the you have the boards, medical boards. They're not gonna let software get in that easily.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, plus you're dealing with like legal ramifications. Human life. So these things you have to really keep an eye on. So kind of circling back is what I love is you've taken your background and and you've actually gone into do a lot of creative stuff. It's been a fascinating discussion about AI, but talk about how's your educational background influence to the creative and people that want to kind of follow in your footsteps. What is your advice? And we'll end it with I want to see your future projects aspirations.
Well, education definitely is the key to anything. Um, if you want to be an actor, there are a couple ways to do it, or a couple ways to get there, but it all comes down to learning the craft. So it's really hard to learn the craft of acting by yourself. You
Mm.
need somebody to coach you, someone to show you. You don't necessarily have to go to college to get a degree in fine arts to learn acting, but you need some kind of coaching. You need someone to teach you, and then you need to have to do it. You have to keep doing it. So a class environment is perfect to learn how to be an actor because it's safe. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about messing up. If you go on the set and you mess up, that's bad. It's going to be you hurt your career. You're not going to get hired anymore. If you can't do your lines and you're not a good or proficient actor.
Yeah.
So I take that right back to law. Obviously, to be a lawyer, you need to go to law school. You need the education behind you. So I took that same approach and I took it to acting and voiceover. And I really studied the craft. I did it the same exact way that I became a lawyer as far as education to do acting and voiceover. And then it's just a matter of doing it. Same thing with law. It's just a matter you have to keep doing it. That's why they call it practice, because you have to keep doing it, because it's not just reading the books and having the knowledge. Then it's the next step. It's applying it, because using your judgment when life's happening. That intuition is your talent. That's what kind of weaves through everything. It weaves through law. It weaves through being a doctor. It weaves through actors. It's that judgment is something that you really can't teach. That you really can't learn. That's something that you just get it. It's just there. So you have to access that.
You said it, so it's practice. It's basically your art and your craft, and that's
Right.
how you get the reps in, you get the experience, knowledge, training. Oh, you mentioned this idea of education, and I love that. And one thing is, what future projects are you most excited about? And what goals do you have for the next phase of your career?
Right now, I'm doing producing as well as acting. So I've got a handful of productions. And normally, most of the productions I do, I try to get at least a little part in it if I can to act.
Mhm.
If it works out, if it doesn't work out, it's not the be all end all. But but a couple of these projects that I'm producing, I'm also have some parts in them. So that's something I just want to do and more of. I want to produce more films and get more parts in those films. And many of the films that I've done already, thank God, they've been successful and they've won awards at festivals and things. So I want to produce quality work like that, and I want to find quality parts in quality productions. Not just putting up horror. I mean, I love horror films. That's my horror is my favorite genre to watch. But not necessarily my favorite genre to produce. Although I've done a couple of them, but I'm looking for those plus because they're fun, but more of the deep emotional type of scripts, shows, parts. Those, I want to get a little deeper now, get under the surface a little more, and that's what I'd love to do as I go into the future.
Yeah. How can people contact you, follow you, reach out to you, check out your work, etc.?
My law site is ROBSCIGESQ, robsigesq at .com. Sorry, robsigesq.com.
Yeah.
Or my acting website is robertpaglia.com.
Yeah. And for all the audience out there listening, Robert, for coming on. It was fascinating discussion, how you blend, your educational, professional training with more the creative side, impact of AI, technology, and future projects. All of his resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to give him a like, follow, check out his website as well. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you very much.